And dear respected Thai, dear community, where to start? It's like we have a buffet and just finding the right dish to start. Um, I would like to first start with sitting meditation and the art of sitting meditation in our tradition. We know that our culture today and our habit energy of our society, it's very, it leans a lot towards not being present. We're always running towards the future or running back into the past or just being carried away by our thinking, our emotions, our thoughts, or just being numb by the present moment. And there's many ways to escape. We know that there's a tendency to look outside of us for moments of release. And these release can be through entertainment, it can be through food, it can be through a conversation, anything that we can forget the now. And the more we do that, the more we are creating habits for our neural pathways in our minds, our brain, our tendencies. And the more we follow that habit, we also become more agitated in our body. And we start to have a lot of tensions, or we neglect just the body awareness. So we may not be very comfortable with our own self. And therefore, a lot of complexes also manifest from this. So the first wing of meditation is just learning to stop, whether it is in the sitting or it is in the walking or it's in the standing or even laying down. So the first act of meditation is learning just to stop the cycle of running and coming back to the here and now. And we need a channel for us to connect body and mind together. In our tradition, we rely on the mindful breathing, on the breathing, so that the breathing becomes an anchor for us to bring wherever we may be in 10 directions home to the body. First of all, it's the body. The first establishment of mindfulness in the body. Because we are alive, we should know that we are here. And meditation, first of all, is not to think about the breath, is not to think about the body, is to feel the body, to feel the breath. Because our thinking is always there. We don't say that we're not allowed to think in Zen, but our thinking can be very productive. Our thinking can have a lot of intention. But most of the time, we overthink. And this overthinking becomes also procrastination, dreaming, and then that also becomes just an endless cycle of energy being spent without really no concrete outcome. So my first practice whenever I enter into the hall is actually just knowing that I'm entering into a zone of present moment. So already meditation begins when you have the intention. You said, now I want to come back to myself. And for us, it may be sitting on the cushion. It's a form. We need a form to hold the space. But for me, I've established, I don't wait until I get on the cushion. But the moment you enter into the hall, meditation begins. We have gathas in our tradition. Gathas are poems written by many Zen masters through generations. and handed down to us, and our teacher have written more to accommodate the world that we are in now. Like when we use a telephone, being aware of our communication, etc. And then when I finally get on the cushion, our first practice is just learning to be aware of our body. For us, being upright, it is a necessity because body and mind are interrelated. The way we show up in our body will have a relationship towards the mind. And then the way we take care of the mind will also have a relationship towards the body. But we have to be careful not to become rigid and too strict with ourselves. There should also be an element of ease in our sitting. So in our sitting, our first basic elements that we are trained as a novice is learning to recognize, having the awareness of just breath. Knowing that I am breathing in, I am breathing out. Really creating a relationship with your in-breath and out-breath. If you are new, you may start to recognize that your breath, when you're aware of it, you may feel it's a little bit tight, it's a little bit, there's a lot of effort. That's very normal at the beginning. It's because you're getting used to it. You are becoming a companion with your breath. And in the practice of our meditation, the first is smrti, is having mindfulness, the awareness. But mindfulness can be very instant and it can go very quickly. We can become aware of something. We call it mere recognition. But the next step is to develop the concentration. We have to have some samadhi in our meditation. Concentration, establishing our stillness. So our second practice of mindful breathing, of sitting meditation, is really taking refuge in the in-breath and out-breath. And as you breathe in, you become aware and you stay with it. And you can follow it. And as you breathe out, you don't lift off, go to your thought, but you stay and you are one with your breath. It is harder than you think because our tendency to grasp a thought is very quick. And so just learning to develop a concentration, it also is learning to establish a stillness in us. So becoming one with the breath is a practice we do in our tradition, in our sitting meditation. And that is also learning to train the mind. Every time the mind jumps towards a thought or jumps towards a project, our mindfulness says, aha, I still have to write an email, but that's not important right now. You learn to drop that thought and come back to your meditation, come back to your in-breath and out-breath, your anchor. And in this process, there is already a training towards the mind. We're not trying to suppress the mind, but we are guiding the mind. And then we go deeper after establishing our presence. We can bring our mindfulness towards the body, especially on a busy day. Just being still is offering us an opportunity to just settle, learning, teaching ourselves what is happening here, in here. Is there any tension? Is there any stress? And then with the mindfulness, we offer our self-kindness. I've had some injuries in my past, in my monastic journey, and in those moments, you really learn to value good health, but you also learn to take care of the pain in you. And I tore my ACL in the community, and there was excruciating pain in sitting meditation. I couldn't sit cross-legged for 2 years, and there are other postures in our sitting, and I had to learn to be okay with not sitting, quote unquote, the meditation style. I sat more like an arahat because there was just so much pain. And every time that throbbing would come, that's also an opportunity to just become aware of the pain. And instead of being angry with yourself, which I was, and then my mind went towards blaming, my mind went towards if only, and you create so many scenarios. But at that moment, if I can just let all of that go and just pay attention to there is pain, and that pain needs some love, needs some tenderness. And I start to switch my attention towards the pain. And you start to also train yourself to look at suffering, look at pain in a different light. We have tendency to blame, we have tendency to punish, even punishing ourselves. Meditation, if you use that time to sit, you can see where your mind goes, the pattern of the mind. And when you understand your own pattern, you start to have more healing towards yourself. Because these patterns are also a continuous transmission from our own parents, our own ancestors, society. So in the meditation, when we truly sit and being with oneself and just being still to feel what is there, and then having the right approach to take care of the situation, you use your mindfulness, your attention to be with the pain or be with the happiness. We have a practice called gladdening the mind. Some of us, we may have more habits of being negative. Our judgment can be very harsh towards oneself. And by that habit, it is very easy to offer that to others. And meditation offers us a mirror to look and to see our tendency. And we learn to gladden our own mind. And therefore, we have the practices after taking care of the body. We look at the joy and happiness that is available for us here and now. And we break down the simplicity in our daily life. And can we have joy with just the simple fact that we can breathe in and out with ease? Can we have joy that we're giving ourselves permission to be still? Or sometimes we have a gratitude practice, a journal. Sometimes I use meditation as a gratitude moment. Have at least one thing to be grateful for today. Because when our life, we lose a spiritual aspect, our habits can push us towards more negativity, and we forget the beauty that is there. So these are some exercises that we we are offered to do, and we can go deeper in the 16 exercises of mindful breathing. We're invited to look at our own death, our own impermanence, look at the impermanence of our loved ones. So sometimes we can have themes for our practice, but we can also get lost in our meditation. Sometimes we think of something, we go deep, we may go down this rabbit hole, and you forget you're there. What do? Simple. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Re-establish your presence.